Book 1, Chapter 3 of Les Misérables, translated by Isabel F. Hapgood. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Heather B. Les Misérables by Victor Hugo. Book 1, A Just Man. Chapter 3, A Hard Bishopric for a Good Bishop. The bishop did not omit his pastoral visits because he had converted his carriage into alms. The diocese of Digne is a fatiguing one. There are very few plains and a great many mountains, hardly any roads, as we have just seen, 32 curacies, 41 vicarships, and 285 auxiliary chapels. To visit all these is quite a task. The bishop managed to do it. He went on foot when it was in the neighborhood, in a tilted spring cart when it was on the plain, and on a donkey in the mountains. The two old women accompanied him. When the trip was too hard for them, he went alone. One day he arrived at Senez, which is an ancient episcopal city. He was mounted on an ass. His purse, which was very dry at the moment, did not permit him any other equipage. The mayor of the town came to receive him at the gate of the town and watched him dismount from his ass with scandalized eyes. Some of the citizens were laughing around him. "Monsieur the mayor," said the bishop, "and messieurs citizens, I perceive that I shock you. You think it very arrogant in a poor priest to ride an animal which was used by Jesus Christ. I have done so from necessity, I assure you, and not from vanity." In the course of these trips, he was kind and indulgent, and talked rather than preached. He never went far in search of his arguments and his examples. He quoted to the inhabitants of one district the example of a neighbouring district. In the cantons where they were harsh to the poor, he said, "Look at the people of Briancon. They have conferred on the poor, on widows and orphans, the right to have their meadows mown 3 days in advance of every one else. They rebuild their houses for them gratuitously when they are ruined. Therefore it is a country which is blessed by God. For a whole century there has not been a single murderer among them." In the villages which were greedy for profit and harvest, he said, "Look at the people of Embrun. If, at the harvest season, the father of the family has his son away on service in the army and his daughters at service in the town, and if he is ill and incapacitated, the curate recommends him to the prayers of the congregation, and on Sunday after the Mass, all the inhabitants of the village, men, women, and children, go to the poor man's field, and do his harvesting for him, and carry his straw and his grain to his granary." To families divided by questions of money and inheritance, he said, "Look at the mountaineers of Devolny, a country so wild that the nightingale is not heard there once in 50 years. Well, when the father of the family dies, the boys go off to seek their fortunes, leaving the property to the girls, so that they may find husbands." To the cantons which had a taste for lawsuits, and where the farmers ruined themselves in stamped paper, he said, "Look at those good peasants in the valley of Cayres. There are 3,000 souls of them. Mon Dieu, it is like a little republic. Neither judge nor bailiff is known there. The mayor does everything. He lots the imposts, taxes each person conscientiously, judges quarrels for nothing, divides inheritances without charge, pronounces sentences gratuitously, and he is obeyed, because he is a just man among simple men." To villages where he found no schoolmaster, he quoted once more the people of Cayres. "Do you know how they manage?" he said. "Since a little country of 12 or 15 hearths cannot always support a teacher, they have schoolmasters who are paid by the whole valley, who make the round of the villages, spending a week in one, 10 days in that, and instruct them. These teachers go to the fairs. I've seen them there. They are to be recognized by the quill pens which they wear in the cord of their hat. Those who teach reading only have 1 pen. Those who teach reading and reckoning have 2 pens. Those who teach reading, reckoning, and Latin have 3 pens. But what a disgrace to be ignorant! Do like the people of Cayres." Thus he discoursed gravely and paternally. In default of examples, he invented parables, going directly to the point, with few phrases and many images, which characteristic formed the real eloquence of Jesus Christ. And, being convinced himself, he was persuasive. End of Book 1, Chapter 3. Recording by Heather B.
This is the preface of Les Misérables by Victor Hugo, translated by Isabel F. Hapgood. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Ryan Trimble. Preface. So long as it shall exist, by virtue of law and custom, decrees of damnation produced by society, artificially creating hills amid the civilization of earth, and adding the element of human fate to divine destiny, so long as the three great problems of the century, the degradation of man through pauperism, the corruption of women through hunger, the crippling of children through lack of light are unsolved, so long as social asphyxia is possible in any part of the world, in other words, and with a still wider significance, so long as ignorance and poverty exist on earth, books of the nature of Les Misérables cannot fail to be of use. From Victor Hugo, Hovey House, 1862. End of preface.